Okay, it's time for your Monday motivation, and I'm going to really try to make this quick, but I have so much to say. We are 8 days out, and this is now the point at which we start saying that we are going to, and I quote, leave it all on the field. Or we also like to say, all gas, no brakes. And what I mean is that from this point forward, we are going to work as if our lives depend on it, because they do. Having said that, I feel really good about where we are, and pretty much everybody I know who works in politics and really pays attention to elections feels good about where we are. It's not in the bag, but we're looking really good. And there are lots of reasons for that, and I can't get into all of them, but I can say that with a certain amount of security because I know that you guys won't take that as like, okay, now I don't need to show up. We are looking good specifically because I know what y'all have been doing, and I know what you're going to do this final week. I am hearing from activists and activist leaders all across the country. And in some ways, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I'm very uniquely positioned to talk to you about what is happening out in the field right now because this is what I do. I write a newsletter giving people directions on where to go and do get out the vote work, and I am in touch with GOTV organizations and leaders and groups all over the country. And what I'm telling you is that people are turning out in record numbers, not just to vote, but to volunteer. And that is what is going to make us win. And win, I think, very commandingly. I'm getting text messages from people. Oh my God, I'm in Racine, Wisconsin. It's a Sunday and 160 people just turned out to canvass. Oh my God, my nephew went to canvass in Pennsylvania. He said every door he knocked on, they had already had 5 canvassers at their door that weekend, which doesn't mean, by the way, we shouldn't be signing up to canvass in Pennsylvania. We should. And in fact, I'm going to go there to Philly for the last 4 or 5 days because Philly is looking a little anemic right now in terms of turnout. But I know you guys are going to do it. Yesterday, someone told me that they signed up for a voter protection phone bank, the DNC's voter protection phone bank. There's a link for that in my you-know-what, by the way. And they said it was at capacity. And they blew through their list so quickly that they had to end early. My husband is doing voter protection calls every day, and he said the same thing. We're blowing through our list because there are so many people there. Every phone bank I go to has over 100 people, often 200 people at it. This is not what a losing campaign looks like. Kamala Harris's team tweeted that on Saturday alone, their volunteers knocked on 1,200,000 doors. I had to double check that figure twice before I came here and said it because I was like, no, that's not possible. That's what they did. This is in battleground states across the country. Meanwhile, we're going to set aside what happened at Madison Square Garden yesterday because I think I have clearly stated how very, very grave the consequences of this election are, so nothing surprises me. But the more important thing for me to emphasize is that Trump's team has no field game. They are not knocking doors. They have a small paid operation, but most of the time those people are doing the bare minimum if they're doing anything at all. As far as I've seen, there's no volunteer ground game at all. There must be some, but no one I know has seen it. And that's significant because I know a lot of people who, again, who are out in the field. So Trump's got virtually no ground game. And at this point, assuming that the race is as close as the polls, which I think, again, are being very weaponized, and there's a lot of very low-quality polls out there and a lot of Republican organizational polls out there right now, so I'm very skeptical about them. But to the extent that let's assume they are correct and this is a very, very close race, which it very well may be, this is the moment where field and what we do makes all the difference. And what Trump is doing is no field and alienating huge swaths of voters every day. You couldn't run a worse campaign if you tried. Now, he has a base, and that base will literally stick with him no matter what, but his base alone cannot win him an election. You have to remember, Trump has not won an election since 2016, and most of the people he endorses don't win their elections either. He's got a terrible track record. A guy like that should be trying everything he can to bring in new voters, and he's doing exactly the opposite. That's not how you win an election. So I just want to remind you that in 2022, we were told over and over again that we were going to lose. It was going to be a red wave. Do you remember what happened? It was spectacular. Don't listen to what people tell you is going to happen. Do the work, talk to voters, and create the outcome you demand. We are absolutely going to do this. One very important thing is to talk to your third-party voting friends. Make them understand that if we lose and fall to fascism, it will be because of Cornel West and Jill Stein voters. 100%. Margins could be tiny, so we're going to remind them this is not a time to play with third-party candidates. This is a time for us all to come together, to coalesce, to work just like people worked in World War II to save this country from fascism, and we can do it. Use the resources in my thing in my bio that you click on. There are so many. They're great. There are talking points. There are places to canvas. There are phone banks. There are places to donate. I've got everything for you. Subscribe to my newsletter. It's free. And the last thing I'm going to say, women, I see you. I see you turning out at higher numbers than men right now. God love you. We are going to do this. We have got each other. They keep talking about angry young men, but they're not talking about us. They never do. Fuck them. We're going to win this thing. You and I. I love every single one of you. Let's do this. Let's absolutely destroy them. They deserve it, and we can.